The word empire comes from the Latin word imperium, for which the closest modern English equivalent would perhaps be sovereignty, or simply rule 5. The greatest distinction of an empire is through the amount of land that a nation has conquered and expanded. Political power grows from conquering land, however cultural and economic aspects flourish through sea and trade routes. A distinction about empires is that although political empires were built mostly by expansion overland, economic and cultural influences spread at least as much by sea. 6. Some of the main aspects of trade that went overseas consisted of animals and plant products. European empires in Asia and Africa have come to be seen as the classic forms of imperialism, and indeed most books on the subject confine themselves to the European seaborne empires. 7. European expansion caused the world to be divided by how developed and developing nation are portrayed through the world systems theory. The two main regions are the core and the periphery. The core consists of high areas of income and profit. The periphery is on the opposing side of the spectrum, consisting of areas of low income and profit. These critical theories of geopolitics have led to increased discussion of the meaning and impact of imperialism on the modern post-colonial world. The Russian leader Lenin suggested that imperialism was the highest form of capitalism, claiming that imperialism developed after colonialism and was distinguished from colonialism by monopoly. Capitalism made this idea from Lenin stresses how important new political world order has become in our modern era. Geopolitics now focuses on states becoming major economic players in the market. Some states today are viewed as empires due to their political and economic authority over other nations. Entrance of the Russian troops in Tiflis, the 26th of November 1799, by Franz Rubord. 1886. Entrance of the Russian troops in Tiflis, the 26th of November 1799. By Franz Rubord. 1886. The term imperialism is often conflated with colonialism. However, many scholars have argued that each have their own distinct definition. Imperialism and colonialism have been used in order to describe one's superiority, domination, and influence upon a person or group of people. Robert Young writes that, while imperialism operates from the center, is a state policy, and is developed for ideological as well as financial reasons, colonialism is simply the development for settlement or commercial intentions. However, colonialism still includes invasion. 9. Colonialism in modern usage also tends to imply a degree of geographic separation between the colony and the imperial power. Particularly, Edward Said distinguishes the difference between imperialism and colonialism by stating, imperialism involved the practice, the theory and the attitudes of a dominating metropolitan center ruling a distant territory, while colonialism refers to the implanting of settlements on a distant territory. 10. Contiguous land empires such as the Russian or Ottoman have traditionally been excluded from discussions of colonialism, though this is beginning to change, since it is accepted that they also sent populations into the territories they ruled. 11. 116. Thus it can be said that imperialism includes some form of colonialism, but colonialism itself does not automatically imply imperialism, as it lacks a political focus. Further explanation needed. Imperialism and colonialism both dictate the political and economic advantage over a land and the indigenous populations they control, yet scholars sometimes find it difficult to illustrate the difference between the two. 12. 107. Although imperialism and colonialism focus on the suppression of another, if colonialism refers to the process of a country taking physical control of another, imperialism refers to the political and monetary dominance, either formally or informally. Colonialism is seen to be the architect deciding how to start dominating areas, and then imperialism can be seen as creating the idea behind conquest cooperating with colonialism. Colonialism is when the imperial nation begins a conquest over an area, and then eventually is able to rule over the areas the previous nation had controlled. Colonialism's core meaning is the exploitation of the valuable assets and supplies of the nation that was conquered, and the conquering nation and gaining the benefits from the spoils of the war. 12. 170. 75. The meaning of imperialism is to create an empire by conquering the other state's lands, and therefore increasing its own dominance. Colonialism is the builder and preserver of the colonial possessions in an area by a population coming from a foreign region. 12. 173. 76. Colonialism can completely change the existing social structure, physical structure and economics of an area. It is not unusual that the characteristics of the conquering peoples are inherited by the conquered indigenous populations.